Hey everyone, so we are on the last panel of the NFT Summit. We have an esteemed panel group from all around the world talking about unleashing the power of NFTs for the creator economy. We've got Simon Telian from Advanced Blockchain. We've got Schuster, Tanger from TQ Ventures, the two founders of Logcast, Leni and Johanna, Hoof, and Charles Reed from Rarestone Capital. So we have both the creators as well as the investors on this panel, which is pretty exciting. So I think let's just start by going around, and it would be great for everyone to share your backgrounds, how you got into NFTs, and what you're focused on now.
Cool. Yeah, maybe I'm starting. So Simon Telian, Managing Director of Advanced Blockchain AG. We are a publicly listed ecosystem developer in the blockchain space. We are based out of Berlin, now opening up an office here in Stockholm as well, where I'm based. We're investing strategically in blockchain-related projects, but also now in the NFT space, also incubating our own projects in that space, collaborating therefore also with Rarestone Capital on a couple of exciting projects. And yeah, happy to be here and happy to check out what the creator economy has for the NFT space.
Awesome, thank you, Simon. And let's go clockwise. So Charles, do you
Sure.
you share your background and your focus in the NFT market?
Yeah, absolutely. So I came into the NFT space in 2018, was first exposed to the idea of,
It just cut out. Everyone else can, okay. Schuster, let's move on and go back to Charles. You share your background and your exposure to the NFT market to the audience.
Sure. So I'm one of the general partners of TQ Ventures. We're a $500 million fund based in New York and LA. My two partners are Andrew Marks and Scooter Braun, and we generally look for things that are very unbounded in nature. And so the creator economy and a lot of social stuff related to crypto and NFTs really appeals to us. And one of our largest investments is in BitCloud.
Awesome. Leni and Johanna, it'd be great for you guys to share your background and your exposure to the NFT market to the audience.
Thanks, Michael, and thanks for having us, guys. So we are excited to be building the world's first social podcasting app. We thought it was pretty crazy back in 2019 when we started building Logcast that podcasting was still a one-way solitary experience. So we set out to make it social. And with Logcast, you can release audio content, short-form audio content with one tap, and you can contribute to conversations. You can like, comment, share. You can join a conversation direct with the creator. We're actually based out of Stockholm in Sweden, but Johanna and I are in the United States right now preparing for the US launch of Logcast, sitting in our hotel room in San Francisco. So, I mean, our mission from day one has to support creators in the next generation of the creator economy. And we really believe that NFTs will play a big part in this. So we are excited to continue that journey.
Awesome, thank you. And Charles, you just missed the background, but I think that...
Hey, no, I actually could hear you guys. Sorry, my Miami internet's maybe not very reliable. But yeah, my background in the space has really been as a collector. I was first kind of exposed to trying to track provenance of art with physical art and using NFTs to kind of verify them, but moved very quickly on to non-fungible with rich media. So initially, obviously, artwork, very early collections like CryptoPunks, but more recently moved on to Nifty Gateway and was an early bidder and collector of Beeple. You know, some good friends of mine here in Miami, the Animus Art Collective. They've been doing projects with us, doing lots of drops on Nifty Gateway. And we're actually throwing a NFT themed party tomorrow where we're going to curate all of our collection that we've been building over the last 2 years. So really excited about that as well.
Cool. You're doing the NFT art gallery event tomorrow.
Yes. Well, it's not actually the gallery event. It's tomorrow evening. So it's at Maps in Wynwood, but I'll send over the info if you want to join us.
Cool. Yeah, I'll participate. We're doing NFT Basel tonight. If you're coming.
Amazing.
So let's move on. Thank you, everyone, for the intros. So how and why are NFTs creating new experiences for fans and creators? And let's perhaps start with Leni and Johanna, who I think are more on the creator side.
Yeah, I mean, I've been watching the gaming industry for many years, and I've always been very curious about why internet creators like music artists, podcasters, influencers have not had access to the same technology and engagement tools that gamers have had. So I think that NFTs are really opening up this space that have traditionally been reserved for either the gaming industry or maybe the more crypto industry, and bringing them more mainstream and really supporting independent creators take back ownership of their digital content and monetize it on their own terms. So I'm very excited to see how NFTs can support music artists, for example, and also what it means for the future of audio ownership and distribution. I mean, we are an audio-based platform, and we believe that NFTs have the opportunity to bring this new technology and engagement for communities to be able to engage with their favorite creators in whole new ways. And I mean, this panel is about collecting experiences, and I think that we are the next generation of what fan-to-creator relationships and experiences will be.
Indeed, that relationship is definitely changing. Charles, from your perspective on the NFT collector side, how and why are NFTs creating new experiences for the fan and creator relationship?
That's a really good question, actually. I think that we're at this transformation point in the industry where we'll start to see NFTs be used in a different way. So NFTs will be, literally tickets to access events, but then they'll also turn you into like an augmented reality subject. So that, for example, if a performer is on stage and they get their mobile out, they'll actually be able to see who's been to their last 5 concerts and reward and engage with them people in a different way. And that's where you add that layer of complexity that at the moment we're just scratching the surface, but there's a lot more potential we could see.
Indeed. I think that, we've really just scratched the surface of what NFTs can do, and think that all of the organizations that are participating in the summit, but also that are getting into the market are really every day creating new use cases. Simon and Schuster, from your perspective on the investor side, how do you think NFTs are creating new experiences, and why?
Well, I would say it's still quite a young space, right? So from advanced blockchain side, we're still waiting and then seeing, observing the space, seeing what projects are out there. Generally, we would be like to be involved on the incubation side of things. So we're looking deeply into what kind of also physical art we can put transform into NFT, and so that's really something we're looking at.
I think on our side, we invest more generally. We love huge markets that have really good secular tailwinds behind them. So the creator economy we view completely unstoppable at this point. Creators want to take control of what they're creating. They want to cut out the middleman. They want to get paid for it. We've sort of seen that in our investments in Clubhouse, which a lot of you are probably familiar with. In BitCloud, you basically start with Twitter as a template, but then tokenize each of the creators so that they can get paid for what they're doing, and their level of influence can kind of fluctuate in a market. And then I think in general, NFTs are great for creators because one of the things that they do is they sort of create a stamp of uniqueness, what is authentically the original. And that's really important in the creator economy, whether it's in, sports cards like in So Rare, or art, people, things like that. And so I think the creator economy, in our opinion, is unstoppable, and people want due credit for what they're creating, and NFTs are helpful in that regard.
Or I mean, like also Fortnite and the gaming industry, it's also a huge market already, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely adding authentic skins and then actually moving them through the metaverse. So having, for example, a Fortnite skin which you can maybe trade in for a real physical sneaker, and then that sneaker comes with an NFT, and then you can wear the sneaker in the game. We're definitely seeing this more and more. And Artifact Studios recently closed a raise from A16Z to create that physical component. So they turn punks into punk sneakers, and I think that also creates this super fan. And super fans can really engage with creators more than they could previously, because everything's clout driven, and in these metaverse, and on the internet, they're actually able to prove the authenticity and the uniqueness. And who's the biggest fan, who's the biggest collector is going to definitely drive new markets. And I think that the metaverse is a really big one there.
It's really interesting overlap which is happening right now, like between different metaverses. You're talking about Artifact and Fortnite. Really interesting case.
I think artifacts between metaverses for sure, but I also love the idea. You mentioned skins on Fortnite. I think it's in Fortnite or every game developer's best interest to have their in-game assets be interoperable so that other games build using their assets. Mm-hmm. And just create more demand, more value for the assets that are native to Fortnite, which is super cool. But we've spoken, or we are speaking about the creator economy, and we've mentioned it a lot. Leni and Johanna, you both are championing the creator economy. Can you define it for our audience to ensure that everyone is familiar with what we're talking about?
Yeah, so the creator economy consists of about 50 million people that consider themselves as content creators. And what's interesting is that maybe 4%, 2 million of these people are considering themselves as professionals, meaning they earn their living through their content work. And they distribute it through platforms like Instagram, Spotify, YouTube. And these platforms, which are more a centralized business model, reward them based on their community. The more following you have, the more money you can make, right? But who serves the other 48 million people? And I myself have been working in 3+ years with brilliant creators that have, and I've been seeing firsthand how they are struggling with making money on their brilliant content. They're talking to third-party distributors and earning tiny bit of royalties on Spotify, or losing like 50% or more of streaming revenue on to their record labels. So what excites me and us, and the vision behind Logcast from the beginning, is actually to see how we can help these 96% of the other percent of the content creators for the content creative economy. And so like monetization tools and technologies like NFTs can actually help these creators to take back the ownership and distribution of their content and take charge of making money on their own terms.
Yeah,
that's exciting.
So you brought up some interesting ideas of how creators can generate revenue through their NFTs. Can you provide some examples and perhaps touch on how at Logcast you are providing that capability to the creators on your platform?
Yeah, so like if we first think about how it is today, like Spotify are serving the top 2% of the creators, and their biggest streamed artist, Drake, has on his career on Spotify streamed maybe 20 billion streams on Spotify, but has earned in total, is it like $50 million?
Yeah.
And if you think about what NFT can do for this space, just earlier this year, what is his the electronic producer
Blau.
Blau?
Yeah.
He created the ever first digital tokenized album and sold his album as an NFT and distributed directly to his biggest fans and earned $11 million in under 24 hours.
Yeah,
so that's the future.
I'm so excited personally to see, as I said earlier, what music artists do with this new technology, NFTs. For example, they can just cut out the middleman and these digital distribution partners and record labels and really take back the ownership and release their creative work, whether it's a song or even like touring revenue, for example, like tickets and backstage passes direct to their fans. So again, it's like this entire new generation of fan to creator relationships. And on Logcast, I mean, for those of you who don't know, we have been live in Sweden only. But as I said, we're in the States now preparing for the launch in the US. And as part of that launch comes a new suite of monetization tools. And as part of that, we've actually developed new ways that creators on Logcast can commercialize and monetize their audio content. So we can't reveal too much yet, Michael, but we have some very exciting news coming soon. But it goes back to our day one mission of how can we help bring creators into this next generation of the creator economy.
Very exciting. Simon, Schuster, and Charles, what potential do you see for your funds in the creator economy and NFTs?
Yeah, I mean, specifically, if we look at a startup like Logcast, right, where it opened up completely new revenue models for creators, but also for Logcast themselves. So because they can basically equip those NFTs which the creator creates on their platform with royalties, and every time this creator basically trades or like someone who has acquired that NFT from the original creator on the Logcast platform, Logcast can get a cut, and that creates basically a whole new revenue model also for Logcast themselves. So as an investor, I obviously, are interested in what kind of perks that comes with. And yeah, so it's a very interesting way of basically having a new monetization tool, as Johanna said, and yeah.
I think from a collector's point of view, there's still a lot of infrastructure that needs to be built, whether that's wallets to view or listen to unique NFTs or different applications to interact with them and trade them, and so that presents a big opportunity for us to back the teams that are building that infrastructure layer. But also I think that for the creator economy right now, the Web3 is being built, in my opinion, by game devs. The next stage of Web3 is going to be built by game devs, and it's going to be the metaverse. It's going to be where we interact with everything. We spend most of our lives online now, and when we start to gamify these experiences, that's going to open up a massive opportunity. So I think that, as an investor, that's tremendous opportunity for us. And I'm really excited about that.
We see a big opportunity in social, and social comes in a lot of different formats. But I think one of the key themes is sort of democratization and voice of the people. And so in our portfolio, for example, we have a company called Super Great, which is basically an opportunity for people to get on and review beauty products. And I think that the next step there will be for there to be, the top reviewers to have their own NFTs. At the same time, we have a Metaverse company called Portal One, which I think sets up really well for NFTs. We have an emoji company called Kudos, where people are uniquely attaching music to common emojis and creating a hierarchy based on how often they use them. And so I think that's a great use case. We have a mental health investment in sort of the Korean pop music culture called Mindset. And I think there's a great opportunity there. Talked earlier about Clubhouse and BitClout. I think it's just generally a revolution of the people who want credit for what they're doing.
Absolutely.
And so it's a great way for them to have low barriers to entry to be heard. And NFTs is a thoughtful way for them to get paid quite quickly.
It also depends a little bit on your investment thesis. Do you really believe that the metaverse is taking over the real world, right? Or is it already doing that? I mean, Charles, you have a very strong opinion on that, right? So, I mean, people like actually specifically the 14 to 16 years old, they're almost spending more time at Fortnite than on the actual internet. So it is already happening, and we have to really get comfortable with the fact that the metaverse is already a really big thing.
Huge, yeah.
I think it is a small but fast-growing thing. I'm super excited about it. Very bullish on it. Been investing in it for the past year and a half. So I'm part of the choir. But Charles, I'm sure that people in the audience are not familiar with the metaverse. Can you define it and provide some thoughts on where we're at currently, and which I think we have not reached the tipping points. Maybe you disagree. Feel free to disagree with me. But where and when is metaverse?
Yeah, absolutely. Good question. So I think that, to define the metaverse, I think this is an evolving statement, but, we spend most of our lives on websites, and I think that we're moving to web spaces. We're moving to areas that we can commonly interact with, whether this is, the phenomena of Animal Crossing last year during COVID, which reached, 5 million sales in its opening week, or Fortnite. And, this is where we're engaging on the internet, but the metaverse doesn't necessarily refer to Web3 yet. There is very much a metaverse on Web2, and Web3 will allow that interoperability layer that you talked about, with being able to move skins between them different metaverses. So yeah, we're not quite at the tipping point yet. No, absolutely not. And that's why I think that there's more opportunity for us and there's a big opportunity for us as investors to be building that infrastructure layer at this point, and to be backing them early founders who are trying to build, metaverse on Web3, and all these amazing things that we're talking about here. These are like, the stepping stones to a more connected and a more fair internet that rewards everyone who participates, rather than a few parties.
So I've got to say that you're the first person that has described the metaverse as web spaces. I think that's super simple, easy to understand. I really like that. I'm going to bring that into the way I describe it. So there's lots of metaverses. And I'd love for you to dive a bit deeper into how you anticipate. How does this add value to bring it back to the topic? How does the metaverse add value, or how can creators and how does the creator economy tie into what might be millions of metaverses?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's important that we distinguish that interoperability layer that I mentioned, so that we can move things from different ecosystems, because if we can't, then the value is kind of siloed in one place. And one of the things I have against, it's a work in progress, but a lot of these, collector websites like Nifty Gateway or Maker's Place or Super Rare, they're all very siloed. They have their separate NFT tokens, and they're not moving between the ecosystems. So the NFTs are capturing the value for the creators, but they're not, transcending them barriers yet. And I think that building them barriers is really important. And I see a big opportunity with wallets and, other platforms that allow creators to monetize. And podcast sounds awesome. Really like what you guys are doing. So would love to learn a bit more about that. But yeah, it's definitely, we're in this phase now where we need to build more bridges between these ecosystems. And yeah, that's my stance, at least.
And also, if you have a fast-growing decentralized finance space, I mean, like, all of a sudden people can use what they have in the metaverse as collateral for taking out loans, and that opens also up completely new opportunities and business models for people who have simply no access to the bank or like to the financial industry itself. So I'm truly excited about this as well.
Simon, can you dive a bit deeper into that, into the new use cases, new business models that NFTs are introducing to collect experiences, both for the creator and the collectors?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've currently discovering a use case where people can basically use the NFT collections, shard them, and then trade them on the AMM and found there as a government token with those shards. So it's a little bit technical, but basically what it means is just like what I introduced just now. So it's like basically people can use what they have as like digital ownership or digital NFTs as collateral, and then basically trade that, or either trade it further or use it as a collateral.
Simon, Charles, Johanna, Leni, what are some other use cases that you're seeing transforming the ways that the NFTs are used for collecting experiences?
I want to say something. I think it is our responsibility as entrepreneurs and as investors backing entrepreneurs like ourselves to really help make this concept of NFTs and social tokens as easy to understand for the mass consumer group as possible, right? How can we take these concepts that are very popular in the crypto world right now, but bring them over to products and maybe vertically integrate these same technologies into these products, right? And I think that will just open up an entirely new market for everyday consumers to get involved in this. And I mean, they are wanting to get involved, right? There is so much interest from these fans and these communities to contribute to the careers of their favorite creators. I mean, if you give a fan skin in the game for their favorite creator, you no longer need to do things like promotional activity for your new release, right? Your fans will become your biggest evangelists because they have skin in the game. So I think that we will start to see an entirely new generation of communities building projects together. So that's one use case, especially in music. Imagine if an artist like The Weeknd or Justin Bieber could actively like bring in their community to the full creative process, not just release the final product like the album or the EP or whatever it is, but actually actively co-create their creative work with their biggest fans. I think this is part of the next generation and a major use case that we will see.
Absolutely.
I think again, and then bringing those experiences to everyone through the metaverse, which we were talking about earlier, instead of only to the 1,000 people that are actually at the concert. But Charles, I think you were going to say something.
No. I was just agreeing. I think it's really important that these, we make NFTs usable for everyone. They're still quite technical, and that's why I mentioned, using wallets, which can, you can view all of your NFT visually rather than having to look at OpenSea. And I definitely agree that the music industry is a massive turning point. And Blau's album was fantastic. And that was, a really cool concept. DJ Premier also did, a recent NFT drop, which was, entirely custom artwork, but it also had music attached. And these were unique pieces that he developed for himself. So, his biggest fans got to kind of engage that way as well. And I think that music presents a massive opportunity.
I think, one thing I'd add is in the quest to sort of bring it to the biggest music artists in the world, I think Leni mentioned, The Weeknd and Bieber and those kinds of people. I think the quest to continue increasing the legitimacy of NFTs is going to be really important. And that's sort of on two vectors. Number one is when you have creators and then sort of NFT hunters take their work and then sort of NFT it up and take credit for themselves. That's been a big problem. Some sites like OpenSea and Nifty Gateway have sort of verification techniques, but I think they still need kind of more muscle. And then two, I think, just like hacking was more of an issue with Coinbase in the early days, I think hacking of NFTs is still sort of a problem. So I think, cybersecurity measures in a funny way is one of the main areas that I think is going to help proliferate it in the music world more so that top artists can have more confidence.
Schuster, previously you mentioned BitCloud a couple times, which we're also pretty excited about at GDA. We've helped with a lot of influencers participating, but I've got to imagine that most of the audience is not familiar with it yet. Can you just provide some context into what it is and why you're excited about it and how it is a driving force for the creator economy?
Absolutely. So at TQ, we're set up in a few different ways. Sort of the main event is our fund with our commingled investors. And just so people have a sense of my optimism, BitCloud is literally our #1 largest position in the fund. You can go to bitcloud.com to sort of see what it is. But as a starting point, think about Twitter, where anybody can kind of sign up and tweet a message or content or link to something that they've created. Except in Twitter, that's sort of the end of the story. In BitCloud, when you make a message, you have a token assigned to your name. So if people think that your stuff is great or that you're growing in influence, people can literally buy more of your creator coins. And so in a way, it monetizes and gives you power as the content creator. On the other hand, people are free to create coins of people that haven't actually joined the platform yet. So Pamela Anderson, for example, had a coin, but she wasn't a verified user of BitCloud. But then her coin went up so much in value that she came to the platform, verified, and said, you know what, I can't resist taking that money, seeing what all the fun is about, and creating some more. And so then her coin will go up even more. And I think what's really interesting about it is it's kind of a very raw cross-section of the creator economy. Because on the one hand, you have somebody like Elon Musk, whose coin is really valuable because he might do really interesting things. He's been a dynamic figure in the crypto community. But then some of the other people with the most valuable tokens are people that are not household names, but have become very influential in the segment of society that's only being unveiled through a platform like BitCloud. I think what's really interesting from an investment perspective is you can buy BitCloud, which is sort of a bet on the whole platform rising in value. But then it can also be really fun to dive in and say, you know what, I think this artist is somebody who deserves to be more valued publicly because I like what she stands for. And so it's a way of expressing a social message while also making a lot of money. And we think this is something that could go up 500x in the next few years from here.
And how is this original creator of the Pamela Anderson token you just explained being rewarded for the original creation?
So, the person who creates the coin doesn't get rewarded for it. It is the creator, meaning Pamela Anderson, who comes and joins the platform, right? So let's just say that you really like Anderson Cooper, the newscaster, and he's not currently on the platform. There can be a token for him, and people start buying it and expressing their desire for him to come. And then when he claims his token, he gets a percentage of the value of his token. And so it becomes harder and harder to resist taking that money. But then because of the nature of the platform, it's then really interesting to participate. So his coin may go up even more. And it's just a different way for people to express themselves as creators and bring them into the community. And it's gotten a lot of traction.
So Simon, we've spoken before about how I wonder, Charles Schuster, also if you have an opinion, but Simon, I think it would be valuable for you to share some thoughts on this. So the traditional venture, there's a valuation of the equity of the ownership of the business. On the fungible side, there's also a value of the network, of the usefulness of the native currency of an application. How does NFTs play into the value of a business, and perhaps considering also integrating like in creator economy class? Let's keep it on topic.
Yeah, super nice question, and that's actually also the big question in the market. I would say, how do you value NFT startups today? And it's something I would actually like to push to Charles, because he is a collector and an investor in that space for many years. We're actually quite new to that field, so also to answer the audience question down there, yes, we're investing globally in the market, but we're actually a little bit reserved when it comes to the NFT space. We are currently discovering ways how to incubate our own projects in that space, but we're open to discover everything, but right now we're holding still a little bit back and see how the market is currently developing.
Charles,
yeah, thanks, Simon. I think
how do you value NFTs?
Yeah, Well, personally, as a collector, I buy what I like. I think it's really important people see that. Buy what you like. Don't speculate too heavily, because if you do, you'll probably lose your money. Even if you FOMO'd into punks, you could probably lose your money still, even if you bought them 3 months ago. It's a very long-term thing, and it's also about making a bet on a cultural shift. So when you buy an NFT, you're also betting on a piece of the internet's changing, and punks represent that. I think valuing NFT companies, well, typically, if we're making an investment, we typically do favor investing in token economies rather than equity, just because the model works better for us. But if we're investing in an NFT startup, we would typically look for one which had a business behind it, and we would make an equity investment. And then, we wouldn't necessarily be putting a value on the NFT itself. But I think that's, it's driven by influence. We talked about Blau. He's an influencer in his own right. What he did was very iconic with his album sale. And I think that will go up in value. But how do you value NFTs? I think it's in the eye of the beholder, very much so. But if you're, trying to actually back NFT-based businesses, then there has to be a solid business model there, and the concept has to work, to accrue value to the business itself, rather than just the NFTs. The NFTs are just kind of a subcomponent of that. I'd like to hear Schuster's opinion on that, though.
Sure, happily. I too care a lot more about the tokenomics of those kinds of businesses versus traditional corporate spines and methodologies of investing based off of like a multiple of revenue. For us, I have a sense, Charles, that you're closer to NFTs from a single NFT basis and a collector's basis. For us, we think about making investments in companies, but these companies present interesting opportunities, because whereas we might have looked at a business and said, at 3 times sales, this is really cheap, but at 20 times sales, it's way too expensive. We view NFTs and crypto in general as very project oriented. And so, for example, last night I had dinner with an old friend who just became the COO of Uniswap. And she was sort of asking about these topics. And I said, instead of focusing on optimizing for revenue, what I would focus on is optimizing for brilliant projects with other companies in the ecosystem, be they fintech companies or art or music companies, things like that. And I think, momentum of great projects with corporate partnerships is a really strong green flag for us to be interested in a company that's focused on NFTs and other kinds of projects associated with other cryptocurrencies.
And I mean, if we look at platforms like Foundation or Zora, there are royalties implemented to the NFTs. So every time that NFT is being further traded, right, the original creator and the platform itself owns with. So this kind of recurring revenue model is really, really interesting to us.
Yeah, definitely.
And so,
I've got to share, guys. So I think when valuing NFTs, the collectible components, like thinking something's cool, is definitely valuable. There's value in a cool piece of art, or in anything that you think is interesting. But I think bringing NFT valuations to fundamentals, NFTs represent a new way for fans and creators to be connected. It's essentially like a MailChimp, because they are cryptographic, like the fans become cryptographically connected to the creators. So the creators can, in theory, forever send the fans or the collectors value through, because they have the collector's blockchain address, so they can send value in the form of non-fungible tokens or in the form of fungible tokens. So, for example, if the creator one day introduces a fungible coin, in theory, they could airdrop some of those coins to the collectors. Or in the case of a musician, the musicians are touring, playing shows everywhere. And so they're playing a show in New York, Chicago, London, Miami, wherever. For their hype, they could send out a general admission to their medium value collectors. To their lower value collectors, they could send a 10% coupon. For their ultra high value collectors, they could send VIP backstage passes. So in theory, you could be a collector in Sydney, Australia, or in Taipei on the other side of the world, and you can be getting VIP tickets to New York, Chicago, Washington, wherever, and you're not going to those events, but you can be selling those tickets to those events, and the value of that is priceless. How much do you like the artist? And there are cash flows there. Plus, when you get into yield farming for NFTs and other ways to generate an income from the ownership of your NFTs, then it starts to bring it back to fundamentals with interesting multiples, because where's all this going? But we are just about out of time. I'd like to finish with all my panels for this conference. I've one sentence, 2 sentences. Where are NFTs and the creator economy going to be in 5 years? Start with Simon and go clockwise.
Yeah, I think they have a huge opportunity for sure. I would like to see more use cases developing around the decentralized finance space. You talked about yield farming. We're heavily looking into yield farming. We have a couple of projects, invested in a couple of projects a few years ago. And so this is really something we're very excited about. And we're obviously collaborating quite a lot with Rarestone Capital on that.
Yeah, I think the world is moving to more of a creator-led business model where everyone becomes a creator, and I think Web3 enables that. So I think it will completely engulf our life, and I'm looking forward to see more applications being built that kind of allow us to do that and that turn us all into creators.
Schuster, what are your thoughts? You're on mute.
There we go. In one word, higher and more perfect. And then I think what will be fun about NFTs is it'll be kind of one of those undertakings where there's a lot of stuff that we don't even know that we don't even know. And that's what I see in 5 years from now.
Johanna, Leni?
Now I'm probably going to give you a bit of an insight into what it's like to take a 6-hour plane ride with Johanna and I. But this was our conversation for 6 hours flying last night from New York to San Francisco. And maybe 5 years is a bit of a push. Maybe it's more around 10. But how can we use the technology and engagement tools of NFTs to truly trade and collect experiences? If we as humans are the accumulation of all of our life experiences, the conversations we have with people, the sights that we see with our eyes, how can we begin to actually collect those and then trade them with other people? Yeah, maybe it's more 10 years, but watch this space.
1 billion daily active users. Well, Simon, Charles, Schuster, Johanna, and Leni, it was a pleasure to have you on this panel and participating in the summit.
Thanks for having me.
Great conversation. I look forward to continuing that conversation. We are now hosting NFT Basel in Miami. It should be the largest NFT art gallery event ever. Everyone that's watching that's in Miami, I look forward to seeing you there. We are also doing an after party at Biblos in South Beach.
Have fun. Sounds amazing.
I was planning to be at the venue. It's pretty iconic, I've got to say, but I'm not. I'm in an apartment. So
speak soon, guys.
Thanks, demo.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Cheers, everyone.